Hey guys, this is Christian with Team Gap, and I just wanted to do a video on some more deck lists for you. So we're going to be looking at the top four lists from the Digimon Fest, which was this weekend. This was for the one in Arlington, Texas. So we're going to be looking at some lists for it. Just to preface everything, please subscribe. We're trying to get some new content out there, and just kind of want to see what people want. So whether it's deck list videos like these, whether it's gameplay with commentary, or just general content on Digimon. We'd love to kind of hear what people want. So definitely remember to subscribe, comment what you want to see, and we'll kind of get into it here. I just have the top 20 list here, so this was first through 20th as far as placings go. Jose did win the event, so congratulations to him. Awesome way to start off BT7, and I'm excited to show you guys these lists. And so to start us off, we are going to be looking at the first place list. Again, this is for the Digifest event, so this did include mulligans and also side decks. I do have the side deck cards too, so we'll take a look. Three of these decks are blue hybrids, so not to try to spoil anything for you, but three of these lists are going to be fairly similar, but we'll definitely go over, some of the nuances and differences between them. So just to start everything off, egg-wise, we're running 4 Kiaro, 1 Upa in this list. So Upamon draws if you attack with no source underneath. Kiaro draws if you strip a source. So uh, first place just kind of valued that stripping was a little bit more relevant to draw versus the attacking with Upa, but you'll see a lot of people pretty split on the eggs, and some play both. So that's the eggs. As far as rookies go, we're running 4 Strapemon for the searching. This is really probably your best rookie in blue hybrid. He will dig any hybrid plus a tamer, just so reliable. And we're playing both blockers, as I would call them. So the memory blocker in Madoki Beta, and then the Digivolution reduction blocker in Clampearl. So a lot of people have kind of cut these blockers out from some of their lists, but clearly they are still very, very strong and are very helpful against any matchup that is running level 5 hybrids. Being able to stop something that would normally only cost one, and instead it's costing three while that is out, very, very strong. Moving on to the level fours, we do have one Kendo Garurumon, and then we kind of have the standard package of four Kumamon, four Korikakumon. So this is really your normal standard hybrid package of level fours, where pretty much everybody's playing four Kuma, four Korikaku, and then some are playing an additional ninth, 10th level four, depending on really what they want to do. This list opted to play the Kendo Garurumon as well, so this is the one that bounces any rookie. For level 5s, we're just running the 4 Beowulfmon that bounces something if you return a hybrid to your hand. So this is really the best level 5 you can play in hybrids. It only costs 1 if you're going over something with a tamer. It's just so strong. And then the only level 6 we're playing, not any Magna Gurus, we're actually playing a Zulongmon. So this is a really cool card. So you trash the bottom Digivolution card of all your opponent's Digimon when you Digivolve into them, and then for however many Digimon they have with no sources underneath, you gain a memory. So it's a 5 cost, but you can definitely gain that memory back depending on how many Digimon that have no sources are on the other side of the board. And then also, the other effect it has is for every Digimon with no source underneath, it gains security +1. So that is massive. If they have two bodies out there that don't have sources, you are checking 3 security with a Zulong. This is a really strong option, and a lot of decks I've seen people running both Magna Garurumon and a Zulong. The first place deck opted just to play a Zulong, and it was clearly more than enough. This almost kind of feels like a little bit of a Susanomon to me, to where Susano, can check 3 security in a turn. It just really wrecks the security, but a Zulong kind of does it in a similar way, but also it just is a little bit cheaper in comparison. So really cool to see a Zulongmon be the level 6. And honestly, a lot of games with Blue Hybrid, you won't even need to have a level 6 to clear them out. This is really kind of like an insurance policy against specific matchups. So, really cool to see that. As far as the rest of the Digimon, just 2 white ones, the 2 Bokomon. So, he's a menace. You play him in all hybrids. You grab Tamers hybrid. He's just so reliable. And then obviously the memory effect when you're gaining 2 going over a Tamer. Speaking of tamers, 3 Davis, 3 Sora and Joe. These are really standard as far as memory gainers. Sora and Joe given 2 if you have a Digimon with no sources on the opposite side. Tommy seems to be obviously, one of the best blue tamers. He's so versatile in what he does. He strips 3 sources or 3 cards from underneath, and then he also will stun something as an inheritable effect with no sources. So just really, really strong. He gives you so many plays with Korikaku as far as freezing goes. You love to see Tommy. And then one of my personal favorites is the 2-drop blue mat. So you gain 1 memory instead of the 2 that the Sora Joe gives. You get 1 if they have a Digimon with no source underneath. But he's only a 2 cost. He really does kind of feel like a blue rookie as far as just another quick drop that you can play and it will turn into something later with all your hybrids. So very, very efficient memory wise. And then getting into the options, we're looking at 1 Forbidden Trident. Interesting tech. So this gives 1 Digimon 2k DP, and then when you're attacking, you can bounce a level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. I was kind of thinking, obviously it's good for board control to bounce things. Also, I was just trying to think of, how often is that 2k DP worth it? And there's definitely certain times where, it gets Digimon over thresholds, like Beowulf, it'll kind of get over any other level 5s that it would ever run into. I was trying to think like the highest DP level 5 you might see is like 8k and like Rhino Kabuterimon, I think. But Forbidden Trident kind of helps get over that, and it just gets over certain numbers, so that's kind of nice. 2 Howling Memory Boost, very common. You strip sources and then you stun something and you get memory in later turns, so very popular in all blue hybrid decks. Are running the standard 1 Ice Wall, 4 Hammer Spark, so Hammer Spark obviously kind of enables you to play a lot of things you might normally not be able to in a turn. Hammer Spark's just so strong. It lets you do things you normally couldn't be able to. And then Ice Wall, obviously, it kind of sucks that it's down to 1. It feels awkward to play sometimes. Some decks are cutting it, but obviously still plenty of value in playing it. If you have it at the right times, this is a back-breaking card for your opponent. And then the last card, Supreme Cannon. And I saw this and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing this in a main deck. Return all of your opponent's Digimon with 3k DP or less. So that already is hitting a lot of popular things like memory blockers, Digivolution blockers, Bokomons, most rookies. They're all going to be 3k or less. So it's bouncing all of those. The second effect is if you have a Digimon with Garurumon or Omnimon in its name, you return all Digimon with 5k or less. And I thought that that was super good as well. But I don't think he actually has any targets, unfortunately. So I don't think Kendo Garuru actually counts, because I think this is one of those weirdly named ones where it's not actually a Garurumon. So I don't think Kendo actually counts towards any of that. So no targets here for his second effect, but I guess we're just running it to bounce anything that's 3k or less. So that is the main 50 list for the deck. And then going into side, we're going to see some interesting things here. So this is what I really wanted to see. What were people siding? Because I haven't really had much experience as far as any side decking in Digimon yet. I haven't played in any tournaments that have run the new rules. But we're starting off with a Lobomon, so just an additional level 4 hybrid. It's a 2 cost over no matter what it goes over. So whether it's a blue rookie or a tamer, it only costs 2. Obviously, all the other, blue hybrids are 3 over a rookie Digimon, so sometimes that is relevant where this is only a 2 cost. Beowulfmon, this is the one that it has jamming, and then if it has a hybrid in its sources, it can't be attacked, which is really relevant. That's a hybrid or a blue tamer. Really good into certain matchups. I feel like against yellow and green, like they don't really have an easy answer to this if this is just sitting on board after it swings. So really strong into those matchups. Hexablow, we've kind of seen pop up now and then because you strip and stun so much. Hexablow can really find a lot of value in that and blocking a lot of things. So this is another level 6 that might be super strong in its specific matchups. Susano, I think, is probably a card that we will see in almost all main decks or side decks, especially if you're playing any kind of hybrid setup because he's just so valuable being able to go over a Tamer, delete a Digimon, take 3 security. Like that is just so strong if you're able to do all of that in one turn. And then to round out the non-Digimon sideboard, we play 2 Mimis, so we've kind of been seeing this pop up a lot where it's just a really cheap tamer. It's only a 2 cost. You gain a memory back anytime an option card is used. You can do some really cheeky plays with this, like you play it one turn, you play a Hammer Spark, tap Mimi. Hammer Spark just gave you 2 memory with the Mimi active. So it's just a little bit of extra value throughout the game after options are played, and it can stop like your opponent's Hammer Sparks, or just it messes up plays really, or enables you to do more. So kind of cool that we're seeing people tech this in. one Aqua Viper. So this used to be a super strong card in Rookie Rush, but you bounce one of your own Digimon to bounce two of your opponent's level 4 or lower. So just a way to kind of get a little bit more board control. One additional Howling Memory boost since the main deck wasn't playing the full four. I think it was only playing two, so we're playing an additional third one here. And then two Rattlestar for clear as far as options go. So Rattlestar, you return one level 5 or lower. If they have three Digimon or more in play, you return one any Digimon to the bottom of their deck instead. Rattlestar, is kind of one of those options where you can play a lot of things in place of it. Some people play Cocytus Breath, Rattlestar, V-Wing Blade, Absolute Blast. I mean, there's so many of those clear options, but they opted to play two in the side. But yeah, that's the side deck list and the main deck list. That's your first place blue hybrid list. All right, and looking at the second place list, again, this is going to be another blue hybrid deck. The same eggs we're seeing of one Upamon, four Kiaromon, exact same rookie lineup of four Straby, four Clamperl, four Madoki Beta, so they opted for the same setup for all the base stuff. Similar in for Kumamon, for Korikaku, for Beowulf. That's all super standard. The one difference in this blue list, they don't play the additional level 4, so we're not seeing the Kendo Garuru. We are only playing one level 6, which is a Zulongmon. And again, this deck doesn't really need level 6s to clear boards or end games. I mean, this is really just something a little extra that you need maybe in specific situations. So there's plenty of blue games where you never have to see a level 6 and you are just fine. So just one Azulongmon. We're playing the 4 Bokomon, of course. Full Boko, he's too good. Tamers, very similar. So 3 Davis, 4 Sorenjo, 4 Tommy, 1 Matt. I think the differences are the other list was playing 3 Sorenjo, 2 Matt, but very similar Tamer lists. So we're playing 12 total, which is pretty standard. Going into the options again, super similar. We're going to be playing 3 Howling Memory Boost. We're going to play the full 4 Spark 1 Ice Wall lineup, which again, that's really a normal setup as far as all these blue hybrid lists are going. They are main decking some clear, so they're playing one Absolute Blast in the main deck. So you strip one source of a Digimon, and then you bottom deck any Digimon with no sources. I think if you're gonna play any clear options in the main deck for blue, Absolute Blast is the one I would opt for. I know there's arguments for Cocytus Breath, V-Wing Blade, or Rattlestar. Just Absolute Blast is the one I would choose. I think that just fits the bill the best out of all of them. You get to strip something so you can get some draws off Gyaros, and you bottom deck it versus putting it in your hand. I just think that's typically better. So that is the main deck. Looking at the side deck, we're going to see very familiar cards. So, two Kendo Garuru, the one that bounces a level 3. We're going to play one Beowulf that gains jamming and then also can't be attacked if you have Hybrid or Tamer underneath. Two Hexablau and then one Azulong. So, some more level 6s for, whatever situation they deem best. We're actually seeing one really cool card, which is the EX1 Metal Garuru. So, it's a 4 cost Digivolution, it's level 6. You gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in your hand. So if you get up to 8 cards, this will only be a 2 cost. If you have 12 cards, it'll be a 1 cost. If you somehow have 16, it'll be free. You do gain the memory, so just keep that in mind. You do pay for it, but then gain however much memory back. But pretty cool. You can get this for a really discounted play in some scenarios. And then its on-attacking effect is actually pretty good. So if you have 8 or more cards in your hand and a Tamer in play, which is not hard at all in hybrid. Maybe the 8 cards in your hand will be the one tough one. Return one of your opponent's Digimon with an on deletion effect to the bottom of their deck and you trash the sources. Interesting tech. I think this obviously is probably played for the purple matchup, maybe. If they're swinging in with like an Eismon or something that doesn't die in security, you can bottom deck those, and that seems really good. Because like the Eismon or maybe something that has like a Gabumon and Demimera inherit. These things that when they die, they're gonna draw a bunch of cards, trash a bunch of cards. You don't want that to happen. So this is one way around that to where you can bottom deck it. You don't have to worry about on deletion effects. You don't have to worry about them trashing cards either to fill it up for like Jack Raid plays. So this seems like a good card into purple. So interesting to see this. I really wasn't even aware this was a card until I saw this. So cool to see. We are playing the one Susano on the side, which I think is very normal, one Mimi, and then one Supreme Cannon. So we're seeing another one of these. And this, at least you have one target, so I do believe Metal Garurumon will count for the additional DP effect on this. But pretty cool to see another Supreme Cannon. I would love to see what their thoughts are on it, on like how relevant this was throughout the day. I'm just curious if it came up often or if they were citing it in all the time. It's just a really interesting card to me. But that is the second place blue hybrid deck with the side deck. And then moving on to the third blue hybrid deck. This was the third place deck. Again, another blue deck, but we are definitely seeing some differences here. So just 4 eggs, the 4 Upamon. So pretty normal. Again, either Upamon or Kiaramon. They're both very normal. We're playing the full 12 line of Strabies. So 4 Strabimon from the BT4 set, 4 Strabimon from BT6, and then 4 from BT7. So this Digimon lets you gain a memory if a hybrid is attacking, or 10 warriors, that's the inheritable. This one on play lets you look at the top 4, you add a hybrid, Susano, or Koji. You only grab one card, so one of those. And then also it does have an inheritable. When this is deleted, you get to play a Koji for free. But yeah, playing the full 12 lineup of Strabies. This one definitely seems to make more sense if you are running Kojis, which, as you'll see, we do play 4 in this list. Moving on to level 4 is pretty interesting. We're seeing some blockers, which you don't really see anymore, but 2 Coelamons. This is the 1 cost for Digivolution. So kind of nice to see these. You know, it feels like a lot of times people will just have outs to these, whether it's freezing the blocker or tapping it or deleting it before. I mean, there's just so many outs to blockers nowadays, but really cool to see that they are playing them in, high competitive tournaments, and they're obviously making a little bit of a difference. So one drop does let you climb up to a level 5 maybe a little bit quicker. And as you'll see, we do actually play some extra level 5s here. But 2 Quellamons, and then to round out the rest of level 4 is 4 Kumas, 2 of the Kendo from BT7, which gives jamming, and then 2 Korikaku. And you're probably thinking, what? Only 2 Korikaku, man? This is like your best level 4. But if you look down, we actually are not playing Tommy in this list, which is really crazy to think about. I mean, Tommy just seems so strong, but apparently you just don't need him. And if you're not playing for Tommy, then Korikaku's, not as good of a card for you. You don't have as many targets to, go over to stun. So, uh, cut Korikaku to 2, don't play Tommy, and we'll just play other stuff and make it work. So those are the level 4s. We're playing 2 Beowulf that get the jamming, so from BT4, 4 of the new Beowulf from BT7, so we are playing some extra level 5s, and then we're playing 4 of the big boss himself, Magna Garurumon. So this guy obviously has a bunch of cool effects and interactions you can do, but really, once per turn, you get to return any hybrid card underneath him to bounce up Digimon of the same level from your opponent's board to their hand. And then whenever a card is added to your hand by any effect, you can unsuspend one of your Digimon. The bouncing part you can do on Digivolve or when attacking, so you kind of have a little bit of flexibility on when you do that. And you do unsuspend any Digimon, which is pretty cool, but I feel like really most lines of play you're going to see, you might be at 3 memory. You are going to Magna Guru over the Koji effect. On Digivolution, you'll use Magna Guru's effect to bounce a card. You'll get the 1 memory back off Koji, so you'll go to 0, so turn won't pass. So that's probably the most common Magna Guru play, but really you can put this over Beowulfmons. That is just fine as well. He's pretty flexible. I mean, he has a 4 cost, but you have ways to get a lot of memory in this deck with Davis, Hammer Sparks, Kojis, and then Memory Boost. I mean, you get a lot of options here. We do play the 4 Bokos, which is super normal, and then 1 Blitz Omnimon. So this will go over your main Guru. It'll get you one last swing if you need it. So pretty cool to see this, actually. I was kind of wondering if anyone was going to try to fit Omnimon into blue hybrids, and I think really the general consensus has been you don't really need it. But it's definitely there if you want it, and it obviously makes a big difference. So I'm curious how many times Omnimon swung for game throughout the day, but I'm assuming it did it enough to warrant. Looking at Tamers, we're only playing 8. So 4 Koji, 3 Davis, 1 Sora and Joe. Seems like a really low lineup for hybrid, but I guess running the 12 rookies, and then, obviously you play 6 level 4s. So the Coils and then the Kumas that will go over your rookies for 2 or less. I mean, that's not too bad of a ratio. So I guess you don't need as many Tamers. And then the options, we're looking at one Ice Wall, standard, two Sparks, so not four, only has room for two, but hey, still good enough of a card to run. And then two Blue Memory Boosts, so not the Howling, because again, we're not playing the Tommies or the Korikakus. I mean, we don't care too much about stripping and stunning. This is about consistency, grabbing the pieces you need. So yeah, very different blue hybrid build than what you might be used to, but cool to see a different list and just a way to kind of prove that there's multiple ways to build a deck and make it work. You know, it's so similar to some of the other ones, but at the end of the day, it runs very differently, and you're kind of aiming at an overall different goal. I just feel like this is maybe a more aggressive blue deck. It doesn't, really focus as much on dealing with your opponent's board and making them react to you, but really cool to see. And then moving on to the side. Um, oh, sorry. Kind of lost this for a second. Um, we are looking at the side here. So one Kendo Garuru, one Beowulf, two of the level six Metal Guru. So really cool to see this popping up again. Same deal. I'm just kind of curious how often they sided this into certain matchups and how often that when attacking effect went off. That's what I'm really curious about. Um, One Mechanori, we all know this card. It's a blocker. It unsuspends if it deletes a Digimon and survives. So if it blocks something and kills it, it just restands and can continue blocking. Really susceptible to being stunned. So I don't know how often that was relevant. Probably can't really side that into the blue matchup, but we'll see how often it was relevant in other ones. One Sora and Joe for an additional Tamer, two Forbidden Trident, and then two Rattlestar. So same deal. Kind of curious when they thought this would be, best as far as being teched in. But 2 KDP bounces level 3 when attacking, and then Rattlestar for clear. Again, you can play options like Cocytus Breath or V-Wing Blade or Absolute Blast. This opted for the Rattlestar plays. And then looking at the last deck, so fourth place, this is Lilithloop. So finally, we have a deck that's not blue hybrid to show off. Lilithloop is actually my personal favorite deck, so I love to see that it is seeing success. And obviously, I know mulligans and side deck probably really helps Lilithloop. I know that's one of the rougher things. This is definitely a deck that you can brick in pretty easily. But yeah, let's take a peek at it. So four Demimeras. So trash or draw one, trash one on deletion inheritable. Gabumon very similar, where it's a draw two, trash one, inheritable, and then two Gazimon, that's the memory blocker, and then just two other rookies, one Lab, so on play draw one, trash one, and then one Elecmon, so on deletion you delete a level three or lower Digimon. So this plays eight rookies only, which really nerve wracking, if I have to say. Only eight rookies just makes me so nervous. But again, mulligans really, really help this deck. Scatter mode is only a four drop as well, so it's not the end of the world if you have to hard drop a scatter mode. This is a four drop. We play four of them, and then obviously we play four of the general Eismon as well. So this is really your big combo. Eismon on deletion, you draw three, trash two. If you have it over a Gabumon and a Debimera, total it's a draw six, trash three, or excuse me, trash four. So really, it's just so much acceleration through your deck, and if you're trashing Eismon after the fact, you are getting board presence incredibly strong. There's a reason Eismon is getting limited. So, um, yeah, for scatter mode for Eismon, rounding out the level fours, we do play Ginkaku Promote because this has so much synergy with Eismon itself. You can go over an Eismon that was just played for one cost, and then it can swing with Rush. You have synergy off of the Mastamon that we're playing, off of the Zwart that we're playing. You get to play Ginkaku Promote and swing same turn. Very, very strong. And if you play Promote, might as well play one Ginkaku and two Kinkaku. So you get to play these as well. When Ginkaku Promote's played, you slide those guys under. Ginkaku Promote lets you draw one and gain a memory when you do that, which is very strong. And then they have good inheritables too. So Ginkaku lets you trash a card, or when you trash a card, you gain a memory. Kinkaku is when you attack. You can trash a card to delete an opponent's level 3 Digimon. That's one of your outs like memory blockers. So very useful to play them, and they'll make a difference for you. Looking at the level 5s, we are playing the Cerberusmon package, so 3 normal Cerberusmon and then 4 werewolf modes. This is really your kind of like the new Lilithloop engine of how you win games. you'll be able to bring out a bunch of Cerberus mons, whether it's through, Zwart plays, or just getting like massive memory off Lilith. And then you just drop a werewolf mode to delete your Cerberus mon. You get to draw 2 trash one, and then you have rush to attack. So he's really how you're winning games for the most part. And then we do play one Lady Davy to round out the level 5s just for extra draw on turns that maybe it doesn't make sense for us to go into a Cerberus Mon where it's passing turn. At least we get the draws and trash right away. Plus the inherit's still good. After you play an option, you get to kill a level 3. That kills memory blockers. Looking at the level 6s, obviously 3 Liliths. This is the whole point of the deck. Lilith Mon lets you abuse Jack Raid. It lets you recycle options. It lets you go into Omnimon Zwart. It just lets you do everything you would want to in the deck. Nidhoggmons is the other level 6 you play. You don't really want to play these. You typically just want to be trashing them and you gain a memory. But there are times where you might have to play Nidhoggmon and it's not the worst. You could trash a card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon off its effect, so not too awful. And then one last level 6, which is Mastamon. When you Digivolve into her, trash 1 security from the top of both security stacks, which is pretty strong. And then you can play any purple or level Digimon that is level 4 or lower. So that is Genkaku Promote or Aizmon or whatever you want to go into. Genkaku Promote probably would be what you want, or Scatter Mode, but both of those are good options. Omnimon Zord, obviously one of the big boss guys. He lets you bring out 2 level 5s to recycle Lilith, to recycle Jack Raids. You do play 4 Analog Youth. These proc off of your Cerberus mons being deleted by your werewolf modes, which is super, super good. Just one thing of note for Analog Youth, its effect to gain memory and hatch, it does have to have a source underneath, so it can't just be a bare Cerberus mon, but just something to remember. I know some people could miss that. But yeah, other than that, Analog Youth also super strong because it does fill up your trash. So reveal 3, add 1 Digimon to your hand, and the rest go to trash. It's just a way to kind of fill up that so Jack Raid is live sooner. For Jack Raid, obviously that's probably the best option you could play in this deck. It gives you your memory. 1 Calling from Darkness, which is new in BT7. Really awesome inclusion because this gives you a lot of flexibility on what you can discard and what you can bring back. A couple of rulings on calling people might not be aware of. You do not have to delete a Digimon. So if you don't have a Digimon on board, you can play this, and then you still return up to 2 purple Digimon from your trash. So that's super useful. If you do have a Digimon on board, you do have to delete one, but you can play this with no Digimon and still get the effect. Um, Calling resolves first always. So when you play Calling, you will delete a Digimon, and then you add the 2 Digimon back to hand that you want to first. Then all of the on deletion effects would proc from whatever you're deleting. I have seen this come up multiple times where I've had to point it out to people that on deletion effects resolve in the trash. So if you play a Calling from Darkness and, for example, you kill off an Aizmon Scatter mode that has a Gabumon and a Demimera underneath, if you want to add this Scatter mode back to hand, none of the on deletion effects proc. So the Digimon has to stay in trash for that to resolve. And inheritable effects are the top Digimon effects. So even if you bring Scatter mode back, these will not proc either because they were the effect of that top Digimon. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you're deleting, unless you absolutely need it, they have to stay in trash for those to resolve. But to round out the rest of the deck, Dead or Alive. Really interesting that this was played because we're not main decking a Lucamon at all or a Chaos mode. I'm thinking really the one big point of this is probably for Werewolf mode plays. So if you have a Cerberus Mon on board, you can play Dead or Alive to play a Werewolf mode from trash, and then it will delete the Cerberus mode to gain 9 memory back. So you actually are +1 off this. I'm assuming that's the big reason for it. This kind of acts as a 5th werewolf mode. And this is actually pretty brutal. If an opponent checks Dead or Alive in security, and you can bring back a werewolf mode from trash, and it does delete a Cerberus spawn, you'll gain the 9 memory on your turn, and turn will pass. So this can be a huge security bomb if they hit it. So just something to keep in mind. 3 Deathclaw. This is really your out to any Digimon that stick on board. You can delete memory tamer or memory blockers, or just anything that's level 4 or lower that's annoying. Plus it deletes your scatter modes that never die in security. So that's nice too. And then the 50th card, win rate 60%. This is the replacement for the flute. Mega Digimon Fusion was banned, so now people revert to win rate 60%. Not as good, but hey, it gets the job done. So it makes your Lilith only a 2 cost Digivolution. It makes your Zwart only a 4 cost. So win rate just makes your Digimon a little bit more effective. And then looking at the side deck for Lilithloop, I was a little confused because the image that I was looking at showed Magna Kidmon in there. So I'm assuming it actually meant Avenge Kidmon because I've seen people side this. This is kind of a counter to Three Musketeers. When you play this, it costs 1 less for every option card in each player's trash. And then on play, you return all Three Musketeers and all option cards from both trashes into the deck, and if 7 or more were returned, you get to delete an opponent's Digimon with 8k or less, or if it's a Three Musketeers. So this is kind of like a Three Musketeers counter. I'm assuming they meant Avenge Kidmon and not Magna Kidmon, because I just don't know what the purpose of this would be in Lilithloop, but hey, I could be wrong, I guess. But other than the Avenge Kidmon, we're running 2 Neo Devi, so super cool card. When your opponent plays a Tamer, gain 3 memory. I mean, if they don't have an answer to this, that's brutal in a Tamer heavy format. Memory blockers do block this, so just keep that in mind. It is a memory gain, so it can be blocked, and it's also only on your opponent's turn. So, like if you swing into security, check a tamer, they play it, it doesn't count. It's only on your opponent's turn. So 2 Rebellion, super strong, just level 5 blocker. When you go into him, you can pitch a card. He becomes a blocker with retaliation for the turn. Fills up the trash with 1. You get a blocker on board that they might not have an answer to. This is a really good Jesmon counter because they have. I don't think Jesmon has any answer to a Rebelli with retaliation and blocker. So I'm assuming that's really what Rebelli was played in for. 3 Chaos modes, so super cool. I'm assuming, hey, since we play Dead or Alive, which we are setting 1 additional one, so we play 2 Dead or Alive total. That's why we are playing Lucimon. We want a cool option into playing him. And this is super good. I'm assuming into yellow is probably the main one. I would assume it's good into yellow in slower matchups where you can bring Lucimon out as a level 5, you can kill a Tamer, and then you can go into Lilith over him. That seems pretty good. And then the last one is a program emergency halt. So this just stops option cards being used. Kind of curious what decks we would want to play this against. I know just the first one that comes to mind is Three Musketeers or Beelstar Control, but we're kind of playing the Avenge kit already for it. Um, I guess it's kind of good maybe into Jesmon to stop like a Delicate Plan or Judgment plays. It stops like Hammer Sparks from being used. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's specific matchups that they really wanted this in, and yeah, I mean it's something that with a side deck you can play these techs. So, but yeah, that is the side deck for the Lilithloop deck, and that's all we got for lists. So, again, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to comment your thoughts. If you disagree with anything I'm saying or agree, hey, let me know. And if you want to see certain types of content, absolutely let us know. Let you know what you want to see, and we'll give it to you. And don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for so much for watching, guys. Bye.